Good day everyone, I am Mayan Gomora Ragudo and I will be reporting about the ancient Chinese mathematics. I want you to listen carefully because at the end of this discussion, we will be having a short activity. Mathematics in China emerged independently by the 11th century BC, and the Chinese independently developed very large and negative numbers, decimals, a place value, decimal system, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. So, sila ang kaning silbi nagdeveloped ani, and I know you're quite familiar with these terms like mga negative numbers, decimals, place value decimal system, like for example kanang tens, hundreds, thousands, ingon ana, and also sa algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. Knowledge of Chinese mathematics before 254 BC is somewhat fragmentary. So when you say fragmentary, incomplete siya, and since incomplete man, so even after this date, the manuscript traditions are obscure. When you say obscure, kaning unclear, walay klaro ba? So, as in other societies, the focus was on astronomy in order to perfect the agricultural calendar and other practical tasks, and not on establishing formal systems. Ancient Chinese mathematicians did not develop an axiomatic approach but made advances in algorithm development and algebra. So, it is when Xu Shiji invented method of four unknowns, the achievement of Chinese algebra reached its zenith in the 13th century. So, this is the picture of the jade mirror of the four unknowns. So the Pythagorean theorem, for example, has been attested to the time of the Duke of Zhou. Knowledge of Pascal's triangle has also been shown to have existed in China centuries before Pascal, such as by Shen Ku. So, since ang Pythagorean theorem na it has been attested to the time of the Duke of Zhou, and also kaning Pascal's triangle. Simple mathematics and oracle bone script date back to the Shang dynasty on 1600 to 1050 BC, and one of the oldest surviving mathematical works is the I Ching, which greatly influenced written literature during the Zhou dynasty on 1050 to 256 BC. So this is the oracle bone script numerals and the I Ching. So for mathematics, the book included a sophisticated use of hexagrams, and Leibniz pointed out that the I Ching contained elements of binary numbers. So when you say binary numbers, it is made up of only zeros and one. So muna siya yung mga binary numbers made up of zeros and 1. Since the Shang period, the Chinese had already fully developed decimal system. So since early times, Chinese understood basic arithmetic, algebra, equations, and negative numbers with counting rods. So although the Chinese were more focused on arithmetic and advanced algebra for astronomical uses, they were also the first to develop negative numbers, algebraic geometry for only Chinese geometry, and the uses of decimals. And math was one of the Liyuyi or 6 arts students were required to master during the Zhou dynasty on 1122 to 256 BC. So let us proceed to the mathematics in different dynasties. So first is the Qin mathematics. So not much is known as the Qin dynasty mathematics or before, due to the burning of books and burying of scholars. So the Qin dynasty created a standard system of weights. So sa Qin dynasty, ang ilahang gi-create is a standard system of weights. So next is the Han mathematics. So in the Han dynasty, numbers were developed into a place value decimal system and the use of a counting board with a set of counting rods called Joseon, consisting of only 9 symbols with a blank space on the counting board representing 0. So as you can see here, diba sa 1, na siya usa ka tablis ra, tapos kaning sa 2, duha, until niabot siya sa 6. So kuan each number na ay mag-represent niya with the use of kaning ginatawag nila og Joseon, which is kaning with a set of counting rods. Mana siya. And next is the Xuan Shushu. So an ancient Chinese text on mathematics and approximately 7,000 characters in length and also written in 190 bamboo strips. So muna siya ginatawag na ancient Chinese text on mathematics, which is the Xuan Shushu. So as you can see here sa picture, di jud ni siya mabasa kay mga Chinese text man jud siya. So basta kay it is approximately 7,000 characters in length and written in 190 bamboo strips. So example rin siyang na-address sa picture. Chao Pei. Chao Pei is the oldest existing Chinese text containing formal mathematical theories and were produced during the Han period. So, the arithmetic classic of the Gnomon and the circular paths of heaven, or the Chao Pei Xuanqing, is dated before the 3rd century BC and contains various modern mathematical principles such as working with fractions using common denominator, or when we say common denominator, like what is the common denominator of the given fraction? So I know you're quite familiar with it. And also proofs of many geometrical theories. So the text contains an accurate process of division for finding out the square root of numbers. So since, as you can see here in the picture, there is a right side, so dili jud siya nato dili mabasa, basta kay ang text, kaninga text, it contains an accurate process of division for finding out the square root of numbers. And in fact, the Chao Pei presents the oldest known proof of the right triangle theory in the Xuanzhu diagram. So this theory, commonly known as the Pythagorean theorem, shows that the sum of the squares of the legs of a right triangle is equal to the squares of the hypotenuse, or written as a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And the Chao Pei was not an isolated academic text shared only by a few ancient Chinese mathematicians. The principles in the text were reflected in the popular approach known as the Qi-Chu, or the piling up of squares, which was a process of using geometry to solve algebraic problems. So before, sa Chinese mathematics, na sila ginatawag na Pythagorean theorem. Pero ang nakaapan lang jud is, the only problem is that di jud ta makabasa aning ilaha kay mga Chinese text man jud ang pagkasulat ba aning kuan. Basta kay naana sila kanang mga solve about sa Pythagorean theorem, inana. So that's the end of my report, and I hope you get something from me.